Hello, Jordan.
What's up, Jeremy? How are you?
I love you, man. I'm so happy you're here today, buddy.
The most calming way.
Yeah, man. Jeff, how you doing today, man?
Good.
Yeah?
How about you?
I'm good. I just realized we don't have our light over here on. So, we got to get that going. Maybe if I hit the right button.
Technical difficulty.
Yeah, hey, whatever. So, happy to be here today. How's your week going, Jeff?
It's good. It's May the 4th.
Are you doing anything to celebrate?
No, I got my Star Wars shirt on. That's about it.
That's awesome,
Maybe
man.
reminisce the last time I was in Disney. That's about it.
The only reason I even have any relevancy to it is because both of my dogs were born on May the 4th, which is extremely weird. But it's their birthday, and everybody used to ask us why we didn't name them like Luke and other stupid shit, because I'd have to explain like stupid shit to people. Man, how you been, man?
Good, man. No complaints.
Yeah?
Didn't get me very far, though, right?
No. So what's keeping you busy, man?
We working on some new marketing things.
Yeah.
Got our CBD project still.
Yeah.
Help my buddy with his band a little bit, so
Nice.
all over the place, but doing things I enjoy, so trying to focus on stuff that is enriching in that way.
You don't really know how to sit still, do you?
No.
This dude is go all the time. So I'll tell you all a little bit about Mr. Jordan McCreery here. All right, he's currently the Senior Vice President at Ingrained Media, which is a boutique marketing firm that specializes in sports marketing, such names as Shane Carwin and Chris Camozzi. Former Senior Vice President at MMA AdNet, an online advertising network focusing solely on mixed martial arts. Like I said, he doesn't really sit still. He's also co-owner and operator of a one-stop source of all things CBD online storefront named CBD-oil.solutions. Check them out. I've used products. It's legit. I'm also a medical cannabis patient. I could buy my stuff there, and I do still prefer some of the stuff that he's got. It's high quality. He's also responsible for the successful launch and the continued business really at what is Barrel Brands. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you are surrounded by great people, such as Jordan, such as Jeff, or whoever it may be, as long as you stay, nose down and head forward, you're going to get there and you're going to get somewhere great. So thank you for all of your mentorship and your friendship. It's really, really appreciated.
Hey, feelings mutual, my friend.
Right on, brother. So we could go on. He's also a fraternity member, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, which he holds dearly. Whenever I met Jordan, he's the last person I would have ever thought joined a fraternity because I still had the 1980s and 90s mentality in my head, which could have been, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, he's a well-educated man. Got a couple degrees, don't you?
Yeah, bachelor's in marketing and both business management.
Damn, dude. And good looking. I'll be damned. I will be damned. So, man, you're from small town Illinois.
Yep, Benton, Illinois.
How the hell's a small time Illinois boy get involved with? How did you know that
Southern boy
that you could do these things?
So my mom actually got her MBA from Loyola in Chicago, and it kind of has opened up the opportunity there to know that something was more out there than small town USA, and I wasn't a huge fan of the things in my hometown at the time. I look back now, and there's certain things that you can enjoy about it and appreciate, but there's also not a ton of opportunity and things you can do. So I wanted to get out, and Chicago seemed like a good place to go and do that. So, I moved to downtown Chicago at 19 and didn't know anyone, 0 people in the whole city or anywhere, and met some people in class that fall. Yeah, that's where I met some of the guys in my fraternity, and kind of grew some friendships from there. Ended up, meeting some other people. One of my roommates, who's one of my best friends now still, who lives in St. Louis. So
Yeah.
it grew from there. But I just kind of wanted something different, and headed up there and started off.
That's insane. I mean, Chicago is, for those of you that have not been to Chicago, it is, I guess it's
the largest city.
It's like Atlanta, like New York. It's so massive that you don't even comprehend the scale when you're in it.
Oh, no.
It's it just goes on forever.
No, and then nothing stops. Nobody's like, it's 24 hours a day. 7 days a
that
week.
city doesn't get a night to clean up.
There can be a foot of snow, and I remember one time looking out my window, and it was like 1 degree, and there's people walking and doing things like, this isn't going to stop anyone. No one's taking the day off.
It's a hard city, right? Like, it makes hard people.
Right. Yeah, I would probably agree with that.
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's not many people that I've met that have really, truly been from Chicago that weren't like, I will smack you so hard, so quickly that you won't know what's coming, kind of tough. They don't take shit from anybody. You know, they're loyal to a fault. I fucking hate that city. I hated it by core, but I was raised to hate it.
Right.
That's anything south, hate the Cubs.
That was the
Sox
thing.
are not far off,
My grandpa really liked the Cubs, so that was one of the things. But yeah, it's always been so funny. Like, we laugh, like, St. Louis isn't even in Illinois. People in Southern Illinois, like, everybody loves the Cardinals, man.
Yeah, they do.
It's Cardinal country down there.
Yeah, big time.
And you're right. It's like, hate them. And so, like I said, one of my best friends, Drew, he's a huge Cardinals fan. And we would be standing at the bus stop sometimes, and people would be like, how are you guys standing together? How are you friends? And it's like, that's a really, like, you're going to say that to strangers? Like, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, man. It's just baseball, right? Like, I take baseball pretty serious. But at the same time, like, it's just baseball.
Totally, man.
We
totally.
have to understand
it's not a war.
The balances in life, right? I mean, as you say, it's not a war. I mean, we've seen some things get wild at baseball games.
Yeah.
But it's just baseball. And if everybody would remember that, it would probably be all right.
No truer words have been spoken. I remember once I said something about, I don't remember if it was which player it was, but somebody, the game was on the radio, and one of them made a great play, and I had said something that was positive about that. And I thought I was going to get my ass beat. I really did. Like, it was a baseball household. And, I played a little baseball. I know the game well. I have a hard time keeping up with it these days because it goes on and on and on and on. And if I allow myself to get too engrossed in a sports team, I can get lost in it,
100%.
So
just in the last couple years, again, I've tried, the World Series helped a lot. But there's a balance. You don't always have the time. There's 162 games of baseball. And when I was in college, it was super fun because they had day games that we were looking at the stubs and $11, $13. And that's what it cost to go to the baseball game. It was great in the afternoon, and beer was cheap, and the Cubs lost, but you went with your friends and you had a really good time for $30. So it's not quite like that anymore. And like I said, 162 games is a lot of games to watch and to pay attention to and to know what happens. And
I tell you,
people that you can't play fantasy baseball, man.
That's where I was going.
No, there's no way.
No way, man. But I gotta hand it to them. As much as I hated it, I think that they deserved that championship, and I think as a city they deserved it. I think it was a good thing for them.
It was a lot of fun. I went up there at that Game 6 that was the last one in Chicago before they played and watched it, the Cubby Bear, and just going outside afterwards and give your own high fives. And it was, it was one for the ages because we went to a couple playoff games in 2007 or 8 when they played the Dodgers. And I remember James Loney had a grand slam.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. It was just like the most devastating thing to watch a grand slam in a playoff game because you're just like, oh, we're definitely losing. Like, there's no way we're winning this one, right? Like, we are. And then the next, it was just like downhill from there. But so, it took a while. And like I said, the Cubs lost for a long time, a lot longer than I've been alive. A lot of people watch this for
your parents and
their
grandparents.
whole lives, but it was fun. And it's something, I guess, sports is weird. Like you said, you don't want to get too engrossed with it because there's a lot of other elements. I don't play professional sports for the Cubs. I don't have any active interest in it, like, per se, with my life.
Right, and nor does, like, a brother play there.
I have no real connection other than you enjoy it, and, there's some camaraderie, I guess, to the fandom and things like that.
The camaraderie is cool, I think. But I think that there's this overarching feeling that I get that is more, here's my money, here's my money, here's my money. Do you want more of my money? Like, I feel gross. You know what I mean?
Any cheaper over the past how many years of what a ticket costs? Every year they do the analysis of who's the most expensive stadium, most expensive beer, hot dog.
Yeah.
Bush falls, I think, in the middle, but there's a lot up. They're up there.
Yeah. It's expensive to watch your favorite team. So you got a favorite soccer team, you might need to pay $10 a month for the soccer package.
Yeah, man.
MLB TV is not cheap.
Right.
Oh, that's
or
30,
Sunday ticket.
30, 40 a month, isn't it?
Yeah, Sunday ticket, right? Like, I
That's
just happen
not
to live in a
cheaper
different
either.
city where you don't show my favorite team,
Right.
and now it's going to cost me an arm and a leg to watch them. Cool.
Yeah, great, right? I know. And hell, I paid for that service for probably a decade.
Right?
Looking back,
Because
like,
you don't have any other options, so you felt like, what am I going to do? I want to watch football, so
Yeah.
I'll do
But
it.
the first year it was free.
yeah, and really, they can't do anything about it. It's their shit.
Yep.
They do what they want.
Licensing rights.
Yeah, man.
It's like pay-per-view. Everything's gone up. Daughter was saying that, like, oh, these two guys boxing, but you got to pay $69.99. I go, well, part of that goes to their winnings and
I
pays
don't know
everything
about that.
else.
Most of that goes to the promoter, I think.
Yeah, but some of it's supposed
just
to
like
go
a
to
musician.
They used to be like $45, and then they added the HD feed, and it's been $10 more. But now, I see.
Now it's
some
up
of
to
these
$70
UFC ones are like $70, $80.
boxing for the next two guys. I can't even think of their names. It's like $70. UFC's 64, but you have to already be subscribed to ESPN
right,
Plus.
right.
If not, then it's
Your
80
added
something.
subscription.
Yeah, so you got to have that because I remember when McGregor fought, I was like, oh, quick, I'm gonna buy this. Should have bought the last fights. All the title fights?
Did you watch? Did you watch the
I
whole
didn't.
card?
The last one with Weidman and everything? No, I wasn't. I was down in Nashville. Did you watch, though?
Dude, I
messaged me. It seemed
did.
like you were
I
interested,
did.
So I was going to ask
I
you.
did. I happened to be on YouTube and happened to stumble across somebody streaming it, and I was like, I really want to watch her win. You know,
Right.
I was referring to Rose. You know, I really wanted to watch her win, and she did in fantastic fashion. But what I wanted to really talk about was, I got to Jake Paul. Dude, what the fuck?
Hey, man.
He's got something.
It's sports entertainment. It always has been. We've said that from the first when I became a fan of MMA and worked in it's sports entertainment. And there's a lot of mix between wrestling and UFC, and you have to sell a fight. If you didn't, Carwin fought Brock Lesnar.
Right.
And Joseph said, the blog that was written that kind of hyped the fight and called him out, he said that's helped. Because everyone got really behind it and was like, oh, we want to see Shane Carwin versus Brock Lesnar. And then it was like, okay, well, if that's what people want to see, we'll book that. But if you didn't and you just stay quiet all the time, and there's guys I've seen do it are like, well, we'll see what they have next for me. Thank you for your time. It's like, cool, that's not going to work. But you've seen Conor McGregor? Conor McGregor walked in and took the microphone, and he's a very talented fighter, but he also is extremely talented on the microphone.
He's a showman.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he captivated it from the very beginning, and sometimes his mic time was limited, right? He didn't
Yeah.
get a lot of time to talk the way he wanted to and hype, so he was typing fights on the undercard, and people were like, who is this guy? But then he was like, I'm going to knock him out in the first round, and he'd do it. You're like, okay, well, he did say that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so they always use what you said in the last fight for your next fight, because it's like, here's at least what he did before. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And he kept doing it and doing it. And so, like, it just, Jake Paul's, I'm not a huge, like, familiar guy with him.
Totally.
He's like on the whole YouTube, like, kids younger than us, our kids' age type of thing.
Yes.
But he's been able to, I do think he made an active interest in boxing.
Yes.
And he's trained pretty hard with a trainer and things.
Yeah.
Which has got him to the point that he has been competitive to some degree. I mean, he boxed Nate Robinson.
Yeah, I know.
Who-
Right.
Yeah.
Had not a
Nate
day.
Robinson
yeah.
is an NBA basketball player who's old too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, and Askren has never been known for. He's a wrestler.
Yes.
Through and through and
That-
through and through.
that
Not known for
Askren-
throwing any fights.
That
Very
Askren
pro
fight
punches.
was just like from the beginning. You knew it was just a money grab. It was like,
I mean,
come
That's
on,
what
man.
I told you last time. For $1 million, I'll go fight him.
right.
You know, he's out from a business standpoint. He's a genius because he's getting bigger names that will get more money,
Yeah.
more people to
Well,
invest in
And he's
order.
been calling out Daniel Cormier, and he's got Daniel Cormier kind of mad. And like he showed up at the UFC event on Saturday, I think.
Yeah, he did.
And tried to. And
Yeah, he
so
did.
It's like
Cormier
he's-
went at him.
And so now there's more press and more talk about it, and you're like right there. You're like, oh, I got to
Yeah.
bring it up. It's
And now he's going to fight Floyd.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
he
is
gonna
that
fight
real?
Floyd?
I heard he
Floyd
was.
is-
well. So
June.
Floyd's super smart. Well, it's just going to be an exhibition match.
Yeah.
Exhibition.
Yeah.
He, Floyd can't weigh over
Yeah.
160.
Yeah, so there'll be weird
and-
rules.
And then Logan can't weigh over 190.
And no matter what, Floyd won't actually lose because it's an exhibition match. If that makes sense.
So even
Sure.
if he would, something happens, it doesn't tarnish his record.
Floyd likes these things. I mean, he did the McGregor fight. and
Right,
he
right,
toyed-
right.
I mean, he toyed him. Some people.
He played with him the whole night.
Floyd is a very, very good. He's probably one of the best boxers.
Mayweather's still
Or,
hard.
yeah, he's gonna.
You know, he's good. McGregor held his own, though. He did
will
good
have
for a while.
He will. He did, but Floyd will carry him for a couple rounds to make somebody some money, and when he's ready, he will put him down quickly. I don't.
Yeah.
think that will be
yeah,
any.
Paul.
But they'll do a million
he's not-
pay-per-views again, and that used to be a few years, I mean, not 10 years ago, 15, it was a big deal to do a million pay-per-view. That card, but there was a million pay-per-views, and it was in the top like 5 and 10. And then Conor showed up, honestly, and Conor started successively doing a million pay-per-views, which few people do.
Right, like Mike Tyson.
Like Lesnar used to do a million, if GSP did a million, and Hughes, BJ, Penn, a couple
those guys
like,
would pull.
Very few people did it. But Conor's come in and just does it over and over and over. But that Jake Paul did a million supposedly against Askren, and they're going to do it again. And
it'll be a million plus just because more people want to see Mayweather.
What they've done, you're right, because what they do too, I don't really think MMA fans watched, but that's the secret that a lot of people
I think they
miss.
did. I think it was a guilty pleasure.
There was some, but I think they do a good job with that trailer and everything, capturing a much larger audience. It's Jake Paul's audience. He has people that are not, they don't watch the UFC actively, and that's what I think a lot of people forget, is people are so, tunnel vision, like, oh, well, this MMA fans are going to hate this. And it's like, cool, it's not really for you.
Right.
If it was, you're right, it would be laughed off the stage, because this is not what the normal production would be like, right? But for people that do want to watch that, like, okay.
But it pulls you in when you got
pull them in, and
concerts,
it's like,
Snoop's commentating, and
all kinds of different crowds that say that each one of those people
pulling
get
into
a couple,
music
20,
lover.
30, 40,000 people.
Yeah, that young generation, like you're saying. Exactly.
You're at a million quickly. And that's a lot of money, man. A million pay-per-view buys makes a lot of money. And I think these guys are making more money than the fighters make in the UFC and things.
Oh, yeah, they are. And I think that's part of the rub.
Well, that's why some of those fighters went to the bare knuckle.
Oh, yeah.
Because
they're paying money right now.
We talked to, I can't think of her name, but she's making like 3-4 mil a fight. When she was in the UFC, she was like, there weren't even that many zeros to my paycheck.
Wow.
And then I was telling him, Tim Kennedy's going to fight Keith Jardine.
In bare knuckle?
In bare knuckle.
No kidding, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Tim's coming off. I saw on this thing he had like knee surgery, but that's coming up. They used to be teammates.
Yeah.
So it's like these guys are getting smart. They're paying out. They're older, but they're finding places where they can go to get a big
Arguably,
payout.
people say that you take less damage without gloves too. So,
well, you throw a couple punches and you can
punch your face, but to your head, because they say that the only thing the gloves really did was protect your hands,
right?
And being able to continue. You're better off me busting your face open 3 times and knocking you out, than punching you in the head
repeatedly
47 times, with my padded gloves.
One championship,
thumping and thumping and thumping your brain.
Yeah.
Have you watched any of one championship?
I have.
Man, that's getting back to the pride, kind of like Valley Tudo days. That's pretty. I told Jimmy last time.
Got some of those other rules, right?
I'm like, this is awesome. When this comes on, I'm recording this. This is great. These dudes punching them from the ground, kicking it's like no wonder you're nowhere near the U.S. when you're doing these. Singapore the last time, and I got the one, so I got to watch. I don't even know where they were at, but it's quite impressive to watch these guys. And the referee does not jump down. They're like, oh, there's 20 shots to the head. He's clearly not defending himself.
He must have pissed him off before the fight.
Man, they're like, they're going in watching these guys get elbowed and stuff. Like, I think he's done. Oh, cool. Like a minute later of pounding, they get him out. It's like, okay.
What's that atmosphere like out there for a big card?
Well, so I've always watched Pride for a long time, and we actually talked to some of those guys for a little bit about getting Carbon over there to fight with Ryzen, which is the new guy from Pride and everything. But it's crazy. They'll put 100,000 people in the St. Thomas Super Arena on those New Year's Eve nights, and it's silent. They all quietly watch as people fight very aggressively in the cage. And then at the end, we can cheer a little bit, but it's most definitely not like an American UFC card. If you've ever been to one of those, man, those are wild. You'll see more fights in the crowd than you probably will see in the cage.
I've never been to a UFC, but
too much
maybe
testosterone.
Not as much lately in the last few years, but I'm telling you, we've been a few times, and there are plenty of fights in the crowd. Yeah. Everybody's fired up, man. Everybody's drinking beer, and they're rowdy.
Drinking in and out. I've never been to UFC. I think I went to when Bellator came and all that, and I had a lot of local St. Louis stuff. That's when Woodley was still with them. Yeah. And, we were up close. We had some good seats, and, man, we got to go down. We talked to Tyron, my buddy and stuff, knew him, and I knew him from training. So we talked to him and a few other guys that came back out to watch other people. The shit talking from these people in the audience is like, there's no barrier between you and him. Literally, it's just the wall to jump down into where the ice would be. Right. And it's like, you all are fools. But no, They're brutal, man.
Yeah. I could imagine the energy is just palpable.
Right. We were talking about fighting at baseball games. Like, yeah, people fighting, watching other people fight is
Yeah, that's another level.
Yeah.
Probably what
That's like a Monty Python
and there's
movie.
people who are fans or family and friends and all kinds of stuff. So like, the emotions are extremely high. We used to laugh. Like I said, we managed a lot of those fighters, and the friends and family, they would always sit you in the same section. And I was like, man,
on
this
purpose,
is the worst. So we'd be sitting there and like with somebody's like wives and girls, and they start to cheer, and like we were really excited, 6 or 8 people right here in this section. And the people whose ass he's kicking is like 4 rows in front of us. And it's like, damn, man, you couldn't have put them on the other side of the arena.
Right?
Like we're all in the same section. It was always so uncomfortable. And then you'd see people come out just to the same, even if you had nothing to do with their fight, right? But you still see them and they're like, see the guy who lost, he's totally devastated. His whole family's sitting over there. And it's like, man, this is just, it's a brutal sport though.
Yeah, there's something about that sport that it brings a certain, I guess, kind of attitude that you have to have.
It does.
I mean, to be able to take an ass whooping like some of those boys and girls give and get, you're a special kind of something. I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, hey, hell, go get your shit. Do it. Make yourself everything you can. It just seems crazy that you would want to subject yourself to that kind of punishment.
Well, yeah, we always used to laugh too. One of the things on The Ultimate Fighter, a lot of the times guys would be like, I'm doing this to support my family. It's like, man, if you were trying to support your family, you get a fucking job.
Word.
Word. Being an MMA fighter, even still today, some people would tell you like they're losing money. They're not making money.
Yeah, you're not going to be a millionaire.
You have to be at the upper echelon of the sport to really make some significant money. And until then, you're not going to make much. Yeah. And so they're always like, well, I'm doing this to support my wife and kids. I'm like, man, you should be working.
You make more than amateur than getting into most pro stuff, because when I fought, I got a portion of my proceeds and I could sell some tickets.
Right, there
and
you go.
That was a good thing. So you're an amateur, you want to get paid, you just sold a shit ton of tickets. And then 2, if you were the main card and then you won, potentially then the promoter by, hey, good job, and here come an envelope your way.
Nice. Well, that's no different than musicians, right?
Right.
I mean, you all do the same stuff with them.
Yeah.
It's all entertainment, I guess.
Yeah, because I remember there were some guys when I was fighting, and they made it to the UFC, and then when you could look up the payouts, the one web, whatever, I'm sure it's still out there, but the one website, I always look, man, who got the bonuses? Because they never announced it back in the day. And I'm like, man, what did our local guys from St. Charles do? And it's like, oh, here's their payout. Dude got $1,000. And I'm like, you're in the UFC, you got $1,000. And I'm like, hey, I never made it there, so I can't speak upon that. But like, you got $1,000, and you were at the
pinnacle.
Right.
Yes, the pinnacle of where you want to be for our sport, and you got $1,000. I'm gonna do an amateur bout, and I'm gonna make a couple grand more than you.
Right. No, that's funny you say that about music. Is like I've been helping these guys, and they're like a '90s tribute band.
Yeah.
And people are much more interested in paying like double, triple the money for tribute music. Kind of like the 80s, which I can easily relate to, right? Like all those cool 80s cover bands we've always seen forever that had, the outfits and the hair, and like they really lived and breathed the 80s. Like,
yeah, man.
Dude, they pay pretty well, and Steel Panther's probably like the best example. Like those dudes are basically like
they're like the face of, or the poster child.
Hairbangers Ball, if you've ever heard of them, like they're really popular. Right. But like 90s music's starting to, it's been long enough now. But people are really into it. And I'm like, man, I remember doing stuff with my friends in 30 Out 6. Like they were an original rock band and they were pretty popular. But like you had to fight and claw to get people to come, man. And looking back, I think it's people like what they can relate to, right? Like it's much easier to just watch. Like they were saying, amateurs, like you'd probably get paid more of that than like needing a significant interest in you as someone no one knows about. In your original songs they can't sing along to. Like, so there's something to it, like being so niche and specific. Like you might have reached the pinnacle of the sport, but no one knows who you are, because if you haven't marketed yourself, made yourself special, your paycheck's going to reflect that. You're going to get, and just like, oh man, I'm the coolest local musician with an acoustic guitar, but I never put myself out there. I never do this, and I'm just real quiet. And like, you're not going to get far either, Like they go hand in hand, I think.
Yeah, and I think you have to be able to say, because that person will be like, well, I don't want to go far, and
there's a balance.
You can turn it though again and say, well, what if it could happen if I told you just did X, Y, and Z? It could happen.
Yeah.
But you got to do those 3 things. You got to put in the work. You got to travel. You got to do shit online. You got to do social media. As long as you do those things, you're going to win.
I mean, that's kind of what we've seen. Like my buddy, he He's like, man, you think you could help us? They played a couple shows in 2020. They played practice for like all of 2019.
Oh, wow.
And it's like they played practice for a long time. They played a couple shows, then March hit there were no shows. They played like 2 shows. And they did one just a couple weeks ago that was a few hundred people. It went over really well. They played a couple online things, but they're really talented. And it's like just getting out there is going to make a big difference. But you have to get out there and let people see, like you were saying, and get people excited about what's going on and things like that.
Yeah, totally. And I think I've seen, like, with Barrel, it's the exact same thing. When I force myself to go out and be in front of people and put the boots on the ground and knock on the doors and go to the barber shops and go to the tattoo parlors and this, that, and the other, the growth was, how much do I want to grow?
Right.
All I got to do is keep doing what I'm doing, and it will match.
Yeah.
That line will always be the same. But then when I hit the fucking brakes, because I needed a mental illness day, which turned into a few years, it became much more difficult to not want to go do it. It became more difficult to just execute.
Right, the momentum. You lost.
Lost the momentum.
It's
totally fucking lost it.
Even like we were saying, like you were saying, like if you do X, Y, and Z, right? And it was like, hey man, and it almost like you said, it was got to a point where I was like, well, I'm not really sure I like the direction. I did all of those things, and it's maybe take the path a little back over here, So it's like you change direction because you do all those things, and it's like, oh wow, this is where it can get me, but I don't know if I needed all of that. Mm-hmm. I want a little bit more of this. Yes. But you can't do it without trying, I mean, that's I think everybody's always so worried about like, oh, well, what if we do this, in business or anything? What if we fail? Like, you don't know until you try.
No, you don't.
So it's really easy to be like, oh shit, we'll go the other direction. Yeah. And like you said, you can put the brakes on.
Yeah,
it's an easy thing. Most people just close the door and be like, well, we went out of business. And luckily, you've been fortunate enough, whatever you'd say, the word there, that you haven't had to do that. You've continued, but most people are like, oh man, we're out of business. We didn't pay rent this much. You pivot every single time. It was like, and sometimes, like you said, you were like, oh, we need a space. It was like, oh, we don't really need a space. Yeah. Need to do this. Maybe we don't. And how do you know? Test it.
Do it.
And I always say that with like marketing. It's like, well, we don't know until you try. You just got to try this stuff. Yeah. Like, oh, you're just try anything. It's like, not try anything. You have strategic plans to this. Yeah. But like, you have to try it to an extent and be like, okay, here's what here's the outcomes, risk and reward. Give it a shot. And put yourself out there. And the worst thing is try again. Like, I mean, I guess that's now I'm, coming up on being 35, so I'm a little older than I once was. I feel young. I don't feel like I'm quite grown up, good. But like, there's so many people who have failed. A lot of people failed. And some people weren't successful till like mid 40s, mid 50s.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the stories you really don't hear about.
Right.
Because most people don't, especially in our age of social media. You don't see the failures, you see the wins.
Right. It's not glorified to do that.
Yeah.
But so many people like go bankrupt and are burn through all the money their business had. Like, and then we'll just start over. And sometimes they hide it. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes people don't care, which is whatever. And it's okay to fail. It's fine. Like
it's part of it. Yeah. Like when you want to do something or you want to be something or go somewhere, the tripping and falling down is just as important as crossing the finish line. Right. It's just as important. It's not different. It's not better or worse. It's the same fucking thing.
You definitely didn't walk your first attempt. You fell down.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, you're pretty good at skateboarding, but you weren't great the first time you did it.
Hell no.
This podcast is much better now than the very first time you recorded an episode.
Right.
But you have to start. Yeah. And if you don't start, people are like, well, I need to do this first. And if we don't, but then it's like, fuck, man, you'll have a never-ending to-do list that you'll never get done.
Yeah.
So like,
that's very true.
Sometimes I would say, it's good sometimes to chunk it down. And I admittedly get overwhelmed with all the shit I have going on.
Yeah.
And dude, just start and be like, okay, wheels in motion, man, and do it. And
and as with anything, I think I buy into the rule of threes, where you do it for 3 days, you can do it for 3 weeks, you can do it for 3 months, and it just exponentially grows. And next thing you know, it's built into your DNA.
Yeah, no, I guess is that
that's how absolutely.
Once you make it a habit, it becomes, and I don't know, it's kind of one of those things you just have to do. People always said that. Like, I've worked from home since I graduated from college, December 2009. Yeah. That's all I've done. I did try and go get a few jobs. They didn't want to hire me. So whenever there's like some internet, it was like a search engine out of Fairview Heights or something. I forget the name of it. It never got much traction. So whatever. They're lost, right? But I've always done that. Some people are like, how do you have the motivation? How do you do that? And it's like, well, how do you not? I mean, I want to succeed. I want to do things with my life. And I kind of enjoy what I do. That helps. But like, how do you not? Like, how do you do it? And it's like, what do you
I was more motivated last year in the quarantine when of my old job being at home.
Yeah.
Because when I'm at home, I don't have to drive. So I don't have 90 minutes plus to my day that is dedicated to driving, whether I'm listening to a podcast or starting to do some work on the phone.
That's like making the most of the time.
Yeah. But it's
not
like I'm at home. I'm like, man, this is great. Like I can eat real quick. All right, go down to my basement and start my day and be done. Like I enjoyed working from home. Not that I didn't enjoy the people I worked with, but it's like all those distractions of when I wanted to go off and just do my thing, you know, and that's how my head works is start. Day's done.
Right.
Did I get what I needed to get done today? Yes. Cool.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. When most people, oh no, we got to hang out. This is like, no, like this time it's work. This time I shut off.
Right.
Like
being in control of your time is because we will do, you can do 12 hours in a day and 4 the next and take the next day off.
You know, like, and that's,
and as long as you've got what you needed to do done, because it is a never, like if you have a business, there's no, like today we did everything we needed to do.
No,
it's like maybe, but like there's always more you could have done because you should know that. Like you should always want to grow your business and be like, we can do more.
Right.
But you're never gonna get there. So it's okay. So like small wins, be happy and just take those victories, you know? Like if you do 12 hours one day, but as long as every day's progress, I think that's a huge win because a lot of people don't make that progress, you know, like they sit around and they just click around on social media. Like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. And just try. Spend 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day. And like sometimes there's people out there on the internet who'll tell you that's all you can need to be rich, right? You'll be 2 hours on the beach.
Yeah. Just ask Dan Belzerian.
Yeah. It takes a little bit more than that, in my opinion, but you can still get a lot done with an hour or two if you make it focused, dedicated time.
Do you know what I think the problem is? Maybe I'm being a little high horse here, but I think that people are dishonest and disingenuous with themselves. I think that we lie to ourselves when we want to be comfortable and we don't want to fight. We don't want to work. We lie to ourselves when we don't really know how to do something, but we'll act like it instead of asking like an adult.
That's
you
when
know
we
what I
don't
mean?
have the time to do it. I mean, I'm been guilty of that in the past. It's like I don't have time to do that. But then I realized that in the last, I guess since COVID too, it was like, hey man, maybe we're all gonna die. I don't know. Like beginning, it was like I was really freaked out for a few weeks, man. I'm like, this is fucked up, man. Like, what is going on? And like, dude, I read the internet like obsessively. So like, when I'm reading news stories out of other countries, like, there's all kinds of stuff, right? And I'm like, this is I don't know what's going on.
You went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. So I was like, man, this is really wild, right? So now, like, we're in control of what we can do here. So be happy, do what you need to do, and find something that's enriching, you know. But when people are like, oh, I don't have the time to do that, you're right. You're like, you lied to yourself because you do. We all have the same 20. And there's some people who are like really extreme. I'll say extreme. It's extreme to me. It's not extreme to them if that's how you want to be, man.
Yeah.
And you want to be on at 110 miles an hour for 18 hours a day.
Right.
That's cool.
But no, you'll burn out. You will burn out.
I mean, I really should confident like everyone burns out because I did that. I used to think like, oh, I got to do more. Yeah. I got to do more than I can do. If I do long days, I can do more work. I'll make. No, you don't.
And that's
you just get miserable.
That's the thing. Like I always would work the least amount of hours, but I was the most efficient in that time.
Right.
And that was the difference. Like a lot of places, oh, cool, man. Jeremy worked 12 hours a day. You worked 9. Psh. You're not working hard. Right. No, there's a difference between 12 hours on some people and 8. And that's what a lot of people don't get in this day and age too, is that you think you need X amount of hours to be efficient. No, there's somebody out there that probably do something for 20 hours, way better than someone who does it 40.
Right.
Yeah, efficiency
is smarter, not harder.
Totally. That is the efficiency of each person. And I was very well organized with my time that I could get something like, I don't need all this time. Like,
right. Add technology in the mix, and that will really
you put your head down and you just do what you're supposed to do. It's amazing what you can get done, but not everyone works that way. And that was the biggest thing I always try to teach people is like, you got to be very efficient with the time that you have.
Yeah.
So if you need to be done by this time every day, then there is no room for error. So then from this time to this time, this is what you need to do.
Right.
Cool. Do you need to get on social media to do stuff? Boom. Here's when you do it. So when you're eating lunch, that's when you do that. Oh, you need to do that. You got to map out the day.
Dude, I feel better than I have in years, and I know it's because I finally found a schedule that I could stick to. Every morning is the exact same for me. Whether it's a Monday, a Saturday,
is it
or
a schedule
Wednesday.
or a routine? Times or
it's
habits?
It's a routine, based on the same amount of time.
Gotcha.
Every
but it's
single
not
day.
every day at like 8 a.m.
No.
That's what I mean.
If
Like,
I'm
so you can
right,
be-
yeah, I'm flexible with it.
Cool.
Yeah, no, it's like there's days where I can't get a meditation in until 7 at night. No big deal. It still does the same thing for me. But that schedule and that discipline, that schedule bred discipline, and that discipline made me feel better about myself. And now that I finally start to feel a little better about myself, now maybe I can do something else better. And I don't know what it is, if it's barrel or whatever it is, but whatever I do, I know that it's going to be the right choice because I've busted my fucking ass to get there. And that's what you have to do. Not if you don't have to be mentally ill, but a business owner. If you don't take those steps, trust me, it will go stagnant.
Right.
You have to. It could be the best goddamn thing in the world, but if you don't keep telling people it's the best goddamn thing in the world, you ain't gonna have anybody to listen.
Yeah, there's like self-worth is very difficult. Most people don't, because I think it goes hand in hand with imposter syndrome. Everyone thinks that, oh man, my business isn't as good as theirs. They're better than me at this. Like imposter syndrome is so real, and social media has made it to the max. Like everybody, everything looks perfect, and it's like cool, man. But all they did was show you one snippet of something that you thought was their day, and it was like, actually, that was from 6 months ago.
Yeah, and how
that's
many,
not even
how
real,
many photos
right?
were taken for that little
like that's not even a real part of their day. Like
Yeah.
today, there's something going off the rails, and that's not what happened. But like they scheduled it up to look very nice from this photo shoot where they took 222 pictures,
Right.
And great, perfect. And people are like, man, look. They got all their shit together, and it's the day that you don't happen to have any of your shit together, and you're distracted, and you're fucking around on the internet, and you're like, oh, man, look, I'm such a loser.
Yeah.
I should just quit.
Right.
And it's like, no, probably not, because it's fucking not real what you're seeing.
Well,
Right.
yeah,
Like,
It's an
there's
illusion.
there's a whole facade over this that,
That's usually
that
right.
you're not seeing, that
Yeah.
even if they're not trying to hide it, it's kind of, I guess, in nature, it is what it is in some sense, right? You can't see all of what it is. So that's why it's important to talk about it, I guess.
It's almost like your vision is taking Xanax.
yeah, right. It's
Right?
the best.
Like everything's fucking perfect.
man.
Well,
But
and
as
it-
soon as you fucking go to sleep and wake up again, you're like, oh, what the fuck?
But that's the thing with the social media aspect, like you're saying, you can have somewhat control over that. Because if we start going down a rabbit hole of like MMA, everything else that'll appear in the just random search and ads will be MMA.
Everything.
So if you start searching just random bullshit or things that are distracting you from the true reality,
Oh, yeah.
then you are losing. So if you want to follow things that are going to better you, find those people who post the reality of their business or their
I mean, almost
tried
that
and
has
true.
to do with certain social, like Facebook. You're right, is the worst. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I get ads that are like, "Do you want to make your marketing agency grow?" And I'm like, "You are a liar. You're standing next to a car you rented. That's not a real Rolex. Like, no, I don't want your tips."
You get those on the
Yeah,
Instagram.
you know,
It's like,
and I'm like, I don't
oh,
want
you want to
those.
grow your following? Yes,
But like
with your
Twitter-
010.
I always say Twitter's a cool social media application because you can choose who you follow, right? You can follow business leaders and people like that, and other things where versus less algorithm, because the algorithm, you're right. The minute you think of something and it's like, boom, here's what you must be thinking about today.
Oh yeah, like it'll go down that all the time. I get the same things over and over and over lately.
Man, it's horrible. I have tried my damnedest to stay off of all the social media over the past few months. I'll be on them daily, but only for a snippet, and I feel so much better because you get sucked in, man. It's like
Right.
anything; it just
If you
fucking
use it
sucks you in.
If you use it for your benefit, you're good.
Yeah.
'Cause a lot of like I have to use Facebook, and I feel like pages. Like there's always been a business thing we're doing, and you can't manage a page without a Facebook profile. And my Facebook profile got deleted a few years ago from a client stuff. So when I had to restart, it was kind of nice. It was like I have like 150 friends. Like, don't really get on there and do anything.
Right.
Like it's cool. Like there's much less obligation than when I was in college, because that was when it was Facebook was cool, right?
Yeah.
But you have to do it for that. But if a lot of people don't even have that, they just kind of get on there for that social
waste
enrichment
time.
or the dopamine hit or whatever they say. And that's why they're called likes. Like, if someone likes this, if someone told you every day, like, Jeremy, I like your shirt, man.
Right.
I like what you're doing, bro.
Yeah,
So
right.
I like your neck. Like, I like this. If someone told you that every day, you'd be like, fuck yeah, man. Like, dude, 13 people today told me they liked different things about me. Hell yeah. But if I post a picture of a fucking tree and every time it says it, it'll be like, Jeff likes your photo, and I'll be like, hell yeah, Jeff
It's
likes
just that
it.
false gratification,
same,
and that's
like-
with so many people. Because
There's no work there.
previous
No.
work of mine was mostly social media, and you'd help some people with it, so they built their brain, and you obviously could make more in sales. But it's just like, it's just like
Everyone is a narcissist. Everyone wants to feel better.
don't realize that you're not going to win against this algorithm.
I know.
Like as it changes, you almost like you got to get someone big to showcase you.
It's
so that
absolutely
you
assistant.
get the drive. It's an assisted world. It really is. You need someone to throw you the alley oop so you can dunk it, get the layup, because that is the only way now. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a weird world. But
It
you
is.
got to be so consistent too. And like, I'm very inconsistent now. It's like, yeah, I'll do my story every day. I put like a stoic or some type of quote every day, and that's something I've been doing for years. But other than that, it's like I might post like maybe twice a month.
Yeah, I
like,
see a lot less value in it. I mean, one of
Yeah.
our CBD accounts has like 40,000 some odd followers, and we don't post every day.
Yeah.
There's no value in it. It's
Right, you're not rewarded on
It's not
Facebook.
worth the time or the effort to do that. It's better off curating email blasts to your owned and operated list of 20,000 people, right? Okay, wow, that's 20,000
Yeah.
people. Then I'm showing up in front of them versus hoping they're going to scroll by my stuff.
And like you just said, that photo could have been 6 months. I know, and I'm not going to call anybody out, and I'm not being mean by it because I did it too, but I know people who post things, and I know when that was taken.
Right.
I was there. That's from 2-3 years ago. Like, you're pulling stuff, and that's what eventually comes to. What can I post that either I did years ago that I can pull out of the hat
Right.
and then archive the old
need something
one?
to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, what can you do? And I get it. I've done it too. Use the same photos, change the edit light, change it all, do a little editing, but it's like you eventually will come up dry.
Oh yeah, it's tough. I mean, well, that's what I tell you. Like, you have to continually produce content if you're going to do it. You have to. You cannot. You need an archive. You need a stockpile of shit, but you have to continually be doing it and try to Jeremy, when you're out and about. If you can take, and it's like, it's hard to be like, oh, but if you're more cognizant of it sometimes, but it's like, you have to actively do that. And maybe the best part is not posting it right away and being like, oh, now I got to. The secret I've learned is like, man, you take the pictures whenever, and then when you have that time,
that's what I
you
did.
can do it. And whether it's at a trade show, like sometimes you can make a quick thing here, but like you get the media and capture what you can of the opportunities, and then use it as you need, because you can only make the most out of it too, right? You can only get so much attention in one day.
Yeah.
Like, how many times can I post in one day and people be like, man, that was really cool what you
Well,
did on Saturday.
shoot you
But
down.
then I woke up on Sunday, a bunch of other people
Right.
confused me with other stuff.
Right.
No, and that's something I always did too, is take photos, write something, or find something that I had previously written that can go with what the photo did. Because maybe I wrote something like, oh, that's good, but I don't have a photo that can really encapsulate what I'm trying to say. And that was a big thing, is like, I told people too, it's like, you got to time it. If you're just sitting there, ooh, I need to do this, it's not going to come off, like today, May the 4th. Well, shit, that's pretty simple. I could throw up photos from when we were in Disney World and, Star Wars Edge and all that. But it's like, I'm not going to post anything today, but still, it's those little things that preemptively thinking about.
The more ahead of time
just
versus
doing-
being like, what am I going to post today?
Yeah.
That's hard.
I
man.
started just feeling like the thing that I didn't ever really want to be, like the person that posts because it's 9:00 and they post about this because it's on Tuesday. And I felt disingenuous.
Way back Wednesday.
Right. Yeah. I felt very disingenuous, and it started fucking with my inner peace.
Well, it's a concept of you have to do it because everyone else does it.
Right.
But everyone else does this.
Yeah, and that's
And people like,
gets
because
in
then
it.
you'll hear other outside people because I've always been like, hey man, if it's not works for your brand, whatever, people are like, oh, you should.
Yeah, right.
Then there'll be like 10 other voices who are like, how come I didn't see you post any Taco Tuesday pictures? And it's like, man, because I don't fucking like tacos. And everyone else was doing it. And it's like, well, cool, thanks for the tip.
Right, yeah.
Do you have it? No.
Right.
You have no relevances. But you wanted to throw your hat in there and like, give me your opinion.
You got to, like you said earlier, you have to stay within your niche.
Because there's so many people who will like chime in with something, be like, did you think about getting on like Snapchat? I'm sure someone's probably said that too. And it's like, no, because it doesn't, you don't have the ability, you don't use Snapchat. So what are you going to do? Who's going to make the content? What are we going to, no.
Right.
It would become a distraction and something else. If you can take, because you like taking photos. For Instagram was like, okay, cool. And then it got to the point, like you said, there's no value. You don't need to waste that. But there's certain things like, if you enjoy it and it's true to what you do it. But if it's not, like, there's
I always, because it was a part of the job. And at times I didn't mind it because I thought I was putting a good message out. But it's when it's,
there can be a good message. There
you gotta
can be a lot you get
you
from
got to
it.
do something, and it's got to be this. It's got to fall within parameters. And I felt like we're taking the genuine. I know what the reason behind it, but you're taking the true genuineness out of the individual's reason for doing it. They're doing it to hit a number, not because it's genuine of a message you want to typically convey.
Now the worst social media platform in the world, which is Facebook, owns Instagram,
Right.
and has all the influence in the world over that same fucking algorithm.
Oh, and then now everything's censored.
I mean, there's
"Ooh,
people
that
out there
doesn't
who are
follow our
like,
guidelines.
I don't give my rights to Facebook. It's like, yes, you do. You're on here.
Yes.
You're using it.
Right.
And they're like, what? And I'm like, don't use Facebook if you don't like it. This is a choice.
Same thing
they can do whatever they want, and you did agree to terms of service.
Yeah, just
You
like
didn't
with
read 'em.
Microsoft.
You
Sorry
didn't read
you didn't
that
read 'em.
tiny print on your phone that came across
Sorry
like
you
that.
didn't read it, but it does say a lot of shit that they
Yeah.
can do that you're like, oh, I didn't know they can do
Same
that.
thing
I was
you
like,
get a
yeah,
new iPhone. You agree as you're doing all that stuff.
Oh,
of
yeah.
course, yeah.
You have a few options to turn off and on, as you're doing it. Do you want to, if you're having any issues, we can take that and,
Right.
better your service.
Right.
No, like all those things are able to be checked, but no, they watch what you do. No different than we can start talking about something. Talk about Rogue Fitness. I'm just throwing
Oh,
it.
you'll see an ad.
We're not promoting this.
Right.
We're just talking about Rogue Fitness. They got some cool stuff. I guarantee you later today,
Oh.
I'm going to have Rogue Fitness
Yeah, and
ads.
so will we, you asshole.
but that's the thing. It's like I started. We needed to order some more vitamins, and was doing that today. Lo and behold, I'm like, oh my god!
Vitamin
I went
companies
to
you've
this
never heard of
specific
showed up.
company where I order from. Always have. I'm like, why in the hell is every other brand right now hitting me up? And I'm like, oh my god, I'm going through Instagram, and then like I was on Facebook for a bit, and then I was searching, doing stuff for work, and I'm like, oh my god, look, those cookies on the side of the flipping thing are all supplements. I'm like, just because I was sitting there trying, making purchases and stuff. I always do.
Scary shit, isn't it?
Oh, but yeah, it's like you can never be not watched or under the radar.
That's kind of where I was
companies.
like. So like that's why you do click agree, right? Like, do you want an iPhone? Get one. Otherwise, like,
Go find that
go
burner.
use a burner or some shit. And like, dude, if you want to do that,
Live the
you
burner
can do
life.
it.
Hold on, I got.
Yes.
Damn it!
When people are like,
I
no,
went past the
I want to be
age.
off the grid, and I'm like, but do you really understand what that means?
Carry an SD card with all your contacts on it.
Like it's not.
Even if you use a
times
walkie-talkie,
change.
you're still.
Times change, and
Yeah.
maybe it's whatever.
Yeah, you can get left behind so quickly.
Right.
And let me say this about social media too. I've got a lot of friends. I've got a lot of people that Facebook would call my friends that maybe I'm just acquaintances with.
Yeah.
But on any given day, I could interact with a lot of people, as could any of us, right?
Right.
The minute I stopped interacting every day,
Stop hearing from those people.
I don't get a text message. I don't get an email. I don't get a phone call. Wait a minute. You mean to say that we weren't really fucking friends?
It was
Well, that's the
convenient
ar- that's
because
the-
they're on Facebook
Right.
every day.
Yeah.
Right.
So Facebook told me it was your birthday. I'm like, man, I love Jeremy. Happy birthday. And Jeremy posted something.
Yeah.
If they showed it to me, I'm not going to go look and see what he's doing. I don't
That's
really
the
give a
thing,
care.
like,
I
Right,
give
I
a
don't
shit that
care.
much.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just meaningfully meandering
You only
here,
see
like,
the
Yeah.
people that you interact with too, like liking.
oh, you're right.
Like,
Because
if
then
I
that's
don't
the
like
algorithm
you, I
starts to
don't
show
see
it.
it.
Yep. And I tell you what, it was the
People get
same
mad about
way.
that.
It was the same way with Instagram. I started losing followers on Instagram because I stopped posting as much.
Right.
Huh.
I lost
That's
a ton
interesting.
when I left my previous company.
There's
which I
people
do.
that get mad in families because people don't like other stuff.
Right.
But they don't
Right.
understand that it's like, you don't even see that shit.
Right.
You don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I
no
had that all the
idea.
time. Like
Because
you
like the
get
way
that-
the algorithm works is like it doesn't guarantee that I'm going to see everything that's on here.
No,
Like,
it doesn't.
So no, not at all.
And a
can't
lot of
go
times
looking.
I see stuff like 3 days after the fact. I'm like, oh,
Yes,
look at. I'm like,
I'm really
dude,
bad
that's
about
3-4 days ago. What the hell?
I worry about clicking like on it because I'm like, is that creepy?
Me too.
I'm like, you posted this 3 days ago.
Right.
That's
real.
the big thing I'll see like Facebook. I'm like, oh, cool. Wait, I saw that the other day.
Right.
Do you know the worst part about leaving social media during a pandemic?
Well, you can't connect.
You do what I did,
Well, you went
and you
old
go
school.
really, really deep inside.
Right.
That's exactly
Well,
where I've
you're gonna have
been.
to go old school. You're gonna have to literally phone call.
Right. That's what I did.
FaceTime in a modern
Sure.
sense, or email, or text.
Even a text message with somebody.
Well, so it's because that's
Writing a
one-on-one
letter.
direct conversation.
Right.
One-on-one, anything is, and then text
It's
messages are cool,
stimulating.
man. You send people. I don't like phone calls. Because I also say like I think they're selfish. Like, why should I just be able to like call you up and expect you to drop whatever you're doing in the middle of whatever it is, right? And that's not really fair. I'm like, hey, what are you up to, Jeremy?
Right.
I'm
Only
just
person
chilling
I
and
think I really
relaxed.
talk to on the phone is my wife.
But yeah, right, because you have a specific bond there. But other than that, like you can send someone a text, and you can even be like, "Hey, what are you doing later? Let's get on the phone, or I'm going to call you." And least give them a heads up because, like, I don't want to inconvenience people because that's what I like. Maybe not everyone feels that, but I do.
No, I feel that too.
But it's truly, it is, and because it stops you in what you're doing. No matter if it's your job, anything, you're in the middle of something and your phone just fucking rings. Whatever, you feel like you have to answer that. But a text is like, cool, you can get back to it. And I think definitely the custom now is like, it's grown a lot more. People used to be like really instantaneous. Like, you got to hit me back. But now you can take your time. Like, man, I don't even have to say, like, I was doing something an hour ago. No, I'll just text you back in an hour. Yeah. Because, like, we have an open... That's kind of the best part I think about a text. There's an open communication. We don't have to say bye. I don't know if you say bye. No. Right, I don't think people say
you
bye.
You don't say bye.
Like,
I say TTYL.
A lot of people wave on Zooms, and like, I'm not into the waving. They're like bye, and I'm like, oh man, I'm just gonna awkwardly say bye and hang this up because I don't want to be on this video call.
Board meetings, I deal with that. I'm like, all right, bye guys, because they're all waving at me, and I feel like. But I'm the youngest, so like
everybody.
Mind you, the next person I think is maybe in their early 40s, and other than that, you're getting into 60s and up. So it's like 50s, 60s, and maybe some 70s. So it's like oh, bye. And it's like bye. Like this is weird, but okay. Normally I'm just like bye.
I have a good night. Never thought about this subject.
Like, how fast can I hit the leave?
I've only seen it touched on a couple times, but yeah, like I'm like the waving. And other people like are awkward about like drinking. They're like, should you? And it's like, well, if you were sat in a meeting and you had a cup of water, yeah, you would take a drink. Or especially if you're on a call. Like, I think calls are much more efficient than needing to be on a video chat. Like, do we really need a
no,
especially with like 8 people, all sitting here awkwardly staring at our computer screen when one person talks, and we're like,
it's like this weird like enslavement thing, right? Like, you have to be in that position right now. Sit up.
There's so many other better ways and that's what I think about technology. Like, there's so many better ways now we can communicate with people. So we should utilize it. I mean, I'm a big fan of technology. Embrace it.
Well, like no different than you talk about like text or that thread. Same thing with email. Like, a lot of meetings can shift to an email, where it's a continuous thread where you have documentation. You do a Zoom, and most people are not sitting there with a notebook. Hold on, stop. Let me write that down. Most don't record Zooms because who's literally going to go back and watch, an hour's worth of you guys rambling on? So you're not recording.
Oh, I'm sure somebody's recording that shit.
Well, you got to pay for those features anyway, but email. Yeah. It literally keeps it's an old school way of technology, but it keeps the thread of, hold on, let me go back. Let me see. Oh, yep, there that is. Sorry, I missed that. Like, you can go back and show what's been done. Especially if things get a little
controversial. Yes. I was always like, I would rather discuss this via email. Yes. We're going to lay this out really cut and dry, and I'll see what you're about. But we're definitely not going to get on the phone here.
Right.
And like, you're right, because but that goes back and forth. Maybe like the lack of emotion in email. Sometimes people are like, you're an asshole. And it's like, well, I didn't mean that. You just read it that way.
Right.
But the ability to be like, we're going to make this very cut and dry in writing, whatever it is, because it needs to be documented, just like Jeff was saying, like, so we can make progress from it. Versus like, we had a call, just the 2 of us, and then we go back to talk to our 3 supervisors. We each tell them our story. It's like playing a game of telephone, because somebody's story is not going to add up, man, and it's not going to go well. And it's
too many hurdles in the modern technology of you're getting into generations too that don't sit there and take notes.
Right.
Like, hold on, let me type away as you're talking, which most aren't going to do.
Yeah.
Most people aren't old school of writing stuff down. Half the people in the world don't even have physical books. They digitally read stuff. So it's like you're getting away from that, and there's no way of doing it. And you're playing, let's see who can tell the original story, and then by the time it gets back, and that's I always hate that. It's like, just send an email with what needs to be stated, the details, because by the time the original message gets back to the person who sent it, you sure that's what's going on? Because what I was told was this, and that does not sound like what this, and I was dealing with that at work today. Oh, we still need to figure this out. And I go, no, that was decided already. It was? Yeah, they decided that yesterday. They sent stuff out. Oh, really? Well, when? I don't know. I didn't even know. Someone told me. So again, it skipped how many people, no approval, and it's just like, okay, lo and behold, and it's just like, good. So now that I got to convey this message, well, do you know the rest of the details? I do not know the rest of the details. Do you know the details? No. Good. So we sent this stuff out, but yet we have no details of what was sent. We just know exactly what this piece of paper, this digital image said. Yep, that's it. We got a time and some little details. Nothing else with the fine work. And it's like,
wow.
I'm like, there should have been an email breakdown before this even went out. Hey, we're getting ready to post this. Here's all the details of the stuff. If anybody asks about the event, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Here's everything what should it be.
The more you plan and prepare, the better you succeed, right? You go winging everything. Like,
always.
It's going to be tough, man. But if you put some plans in place,
you can speak of it. You can't. all right, we're going to launch you. We only got 50% of your stuff done, but we got 50%. What about the other crucial 50% that makes it a whole that allows it to launch and be successful in the whole streamline?
There's a balance to that for sure. Because sometimes
I've been on the far end.
It's like, sometimes you're like, I was saying, I'm like, just start. Because sometimes it's like, dude, if you don't have everything, like, whatever.
Well, I get that, yeah.
But you're right. There are times it's like, if you're missing a crucial piece, like, someone get it together and connect the dots so that we can make something happen.
We're going to have an event.
Yeah.
Because if we totally miss that,
what time?
then if you miss the major details, we're going to have issues.
Totally, man. Yeah, there've been plenty of events that you, Jordan, and I have done together that if we wouldn't have put in that preparation, we would have fallen on our face.
Yeah, and I mean, and we've been parts of events that weren't as, like, I mean, I would say that barn party, I was pretty nervous about it. I mean, we sold, 100 tickets?
Man.
Like, it was good, right?
Yeah,
and
it was
there was
good.
a lot of people came for a very private event, and like it was very smooth. They ate and had fun, and there were zero issues. Like there was no zero issues, man.
Just one really weird drunk guy.
Right.
That was it.
Like that was it, man. Like everybody had a really good time, and it was smooth. But that was because we went through like a significant amount of steps, and it was like, dude, if we cover all these bases, should be good.
Yeah. I mean, and whether it was the cabin launch or any of them, they were always successful.
I think that went good too, considering you had random people there who had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. Right.
So you weren't, it was
like
you were mingling.
that moth to a flame thing.
People
that
knew what was going on and like, what the hell's on this back here?
Yeah.
Let's go check this out,
But you knew you had your bases covered, so it was like, I can handle all this. We're good. I hope random people ask about this.
Yeah, and that's all you can do is you cover what you need. Then if someone outside the event shows up, everything's set up that you need. So what's going on? Oh, we're doing this for this event, launching it. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Then they just walk into a successful event. That's
that realm of what
ongoing.
you can control and what you can't. Yeah. So, I mean, you can easily focus on all a bunch of shit you can't control.
Right. I think the hard part is when like the things that you can control and can't control are sort of overlapping. And you're trying, but it's muddy and it's murky and
is that the Venn diagram? In
yes, it is.
Yes. So that area in the middle, you're right.
That is the stress of, I think, everyone in life as of lately is trying to control outside events, which you never can.
Right.
No. It's hard not to lead with emotion these days, too. I think that we've been so cooped up, whether it was physically or not, but you are sort of at a standstill as far as our socializing goes. I think it's really easy to I don't know, man.
Maybe that's good though, right?
I think a reset's
mental
good.
Mental health. Everybody now in the last 2, 3, 5 years, 3 maybe we'll say 2 to 3. Honestly, 5 years ago, but nobody gave a shit.
Right.
But now people are like, oh yeah, man, I have a shitload of anxiety. It's like no, everyone does.
Yeah.
People are like, man, I'm fucking depressed. And like, yeah,
everybody is.
So be a little more honest about it. And people, oh really, you are too?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh fucking. You're hard on yourself. Maybe we can talk about it, and people will open up. But until then, there was nothing, and there was not opening and admitting that these things went on. And so the more you recognize this stuff, the more progress that can be made. I think.
Yeah,
you have to start.
I think we have to evolve, but until we realize that we need to evolve,
right?
It's never going to happen. There's too many people out there right now that don't think anything's wrong with them.
Right.
Like, oh, well, shit, doesn't everybody drink a case of beer a night?
Right.
And kick their kid in the ass and this and that? No. That's just you and your echo chamber. You and your
echo
Facebook.
Chambers are bad, man. Yeah, and social media has made that even worse. The algorithm.
Yeah, man.
Politically, you could look at conspiracy theories, anything. The minute you look at one, they're going to show you 3 more. And you start, but the echo chamber is bad in life and anything. And they say that, you should surround yourself with people more successful than you. And that's great. To an extent, you don't need 5 other yous because that's not good, man. It's going to make a really unhealthy,
because
not cool.
You get
anything.
The worst, probably each version of you,
right?
Because they're going to be a little bit more of one type of personality,
and you're going to attract to that.
It's very true.
Yeah, man. And you have to, and part of that, I think the core of that is being aware and being cognizant of what you're doing. When you fucking take a step, why are you taking that step?
Right.
Don't fucking do it out of habit. Don't do it out of spite.
Like you were saying about emotion, be more aware.
Yes.
I think it's okay. Like, man, you quit being an asshole. I think it's okay now to tell people, like, man, you're a fucking asshole.
Right.
Stop.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason you're an asshole. I learned now. You're mad about something else. It's not my fault.
Yes.
You're just being a fucking dick today because you're having a bad day. Well, I'm a dick some days, admittedly. But I get it, man.
We're all are.
But it's not because of whatever. It's something that sets you off. But there's a lot of other situations that made it here, and it's not any. So it's like, don't take that out on someone that's not their fault. Like, don't be an asshole to the random guy at the fucking grocery or the gas station or the person waiting on you. I mean, I even noticed like your waitress or your waiter, they didn't cook the food.
Right.
So, like, if you're mad about the fucking food, don't bitch it. Yeah. Like, they're just going to help you. I saw, like, we were in Nashville, and she had a hair in her food, the table next to us, and she's like, really? And the waitress was like, well, it's cool. I didn't cook it, so you don't have to feel bad and apologize to me. Right. You know, like, this is fine. I'll take it back and get you a new one. Like, and it was good. And I was like, damn, she's, like,
straight up.
Not taking the blame, being like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, not my bad.
Yeah.
But I'll help you. Like,
but how many people have you seen do that?
Very few. Most people are like, oh my God. And the other person's usually going to shit on the waiter and not give them the tip.
And that's not
like,
even...
My food sucked. My food was... So I'm not going to give the waiter a tip. And it's like, they weren't their fault. So you need to be more, like, just be more conscious and aware of how big, I guess, the world is.
Well, maybe? I think that if you look at it, if you're even more careful about your intention and what you're trying to see, when you witness somebody like that say, oh, I'm so sorry, that's them taking that negative energy and that blame and putting it on themselves.
I'm pretty bad about that.
And a lot of us are. A lot of us are. You don't want to... You want to help people. You don't want to put shit on people.
Right.
You know,
it's easier to take the blame.
Yeah.
Even if it is. Yeah. I'd rather take that and then be like, oh man, it's so and so fucked up. It's like, whatever. I'm so sorry that happened. I'll take care of it. I know how to fix it.
Yeah, but you get a lot of people that want to take it versus
falling on the sword. Like Jason always said, he's like, dude, you fall on the sword. Wait, and he's like, whatever. It's not your fault. Like shit. Just a bunch of, because like especially like marketing agency client work. You know, like. You line things up and have service providers, whatever they might be, and it's like you have a client, and so you're kind of in between connecting these dots, but I can't control all of the elements. I can only control some. Right. And I do my best, and sometimes it's like spiraling a little bit, and it's like, look, I'm so sorry. And people are like, well, for what? It's like, well, I don't know. I did do everything I could do. So you're right. I don't know what I'm fucking sorry for.
Right,
I just
it just didn't work out.
To be my fault, right? Like, so I just feel like I'm guilty for it. And like, I'll lose fucking sleep over that shit. Don't you best believe it, you know?
Yeah,
like,
dude.
We were waiting on something a couple weeks ago. Like, the dude was a week late on a deadline that he gave me the day. He's like, man, it'll be done in 2 weeks. I'm like, cool. I passed that along, you know, 2 weeks passed. And they're like, where's that? And I'm like, it should be done, you know, like, he's like, oh yeah, and it's like 4 or 5 days went by, and I was like, man, I did not sleep well at night. Like this keeps me up because it's out of my hands. But I'm like, what can I do? Yeah, I can't do anything. Even if I know that you can't do anything, it's like, fuck, man.
Boss like that stuff would happen, and you'd be like, it's not your fault. You just, you tell the customer, the client, like, hey, it's not your fault. Got shipping, something messed up in the warehouse. We're getting it fixed. We're going to take care of you. Yeah.
That's my big thing on like customer service.
They had that. And then I've also had like a boss before too. Someone needs to take blame for it. But it's not one of our faults. It's out of our control. Like if the postal service truthfully, well, I think if
they can
talk about falling on the fucking sword,
they could catch some of that flag.
But like, if it was actually shipping, it was out of our control. That's once it leaves our hands somewhere, it's
people hate that response too, and it's like I'm really I don't have it anymore. I did my part. I gave it to them.
I've had that happen to me personally so many times.
I've seen bosses that someone just needs to take the blame and own up, even when no one should be stepping up to the plate. And I've seen some that's not your fault. To say, hey, this and this happened. We'll get it taken care of.
Leadership strategies. I mean, there's 2 ways you can go about it.
Yeah. Totally, man. Totally. Speaking of going places, I think we got to wrap this thing up. I think we can sit here and talk for 3 damn hours if we ain't careful.
Probably could.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to do it again.
Sure.
I know you got to pick up your daughter tonight. I don't want to interfere with that. So, anyway, for this one, I really appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Always been rad, dude.
On it, round 2.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, sort of.
Technical.
Right, yeah. Not like anybody knew because we had some issues with the last one, but we got it fixed this time. So we're good to go now. Thank God. So, but anyway, man, Jeff, thanks for another good one.
You as well, man.
Yeah.
Good to have Jordan on.
Absolutely. Always
we'll
Jordan.
Have to do it again.
We will do it again. Damn sure. All right, y'all. Till next time. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Bye.